But this penny isn't ordinary. This is the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin with a secret so rare that only a handful have ever been confirmed, and one of them shattered expectations by fetching an unbelievable $1.10 million. The world had just survived Y2K panic, gas was barely $1.50 a gallon, and most people thought a penny was worth, well, a penny. But somewhere inside the US Mint, a small but critical mistake happened. A batch of coins was struck without the mint mark that tells us where they were made. This wasn't supposed to happen. By law, pennies are meant to carry either AD for Denver or AP for Philadelphia. But somehow, a tiny number escaped completely blank. At first, nobody noticed. These no-mint mark pennies were slipping into cash registers, being handed over in change, tossed into jars, dropped under couch cushions. Each one hiding in plain sight. And yet, every single one of them had the power to change someone's life forever. One day, a man in Illinois was counting his change after buying a morning coffee. He noticed something odd about one penny. It had the year 2000, but no mint mark at all. At first, he thought nothing of it. Maybe it was worn down. Maybe it was just old and damaged. But something inside told him to check. And that moment of curiosity? It turned out to be the smartest decision of his life, because after sending it to be authenticated, experts confirmed the truth. This wasn't damage. It was a genuine mint error, perfectly preserved. And when it went up for auction, collectors went absolutely wild. Bidding wars erupted. Prices climbed higher and higher, until the hammer fell, at $1.10 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word of the sale spread, and suddenly, collectors everywhere started hunting for the 2000 no-mint mark penny. Dealers were rushing to check their inventory. Pawn shop owners were combing through their penny bins. People who had never cared about coins in their life were dumping out their piggy banks, hoping for a miracle. And here's the thing, the odds are slim, but not impossible. This coin is still out there. Somewhere. Sitting quietly in change jars, being carried around in wallets, rattling around in glove compartments. And you could be the next person to find one. The secret to spotting it is deceptively simple, yet most people miss it. Look closely at the front of the coin, just under the date. That's where you'd normally see a small letter, AD for Denver, AP for Philadelphia. But on this error coin? Nothing. Completely blank. And here's the detail that's even trickier. The coin has to be in mint state condition to bring the highest value. That means crisp edges, no scratches, and full original luster. A worn example might be worth hundreds or thousands, but a flawless one. That's where you reach life-changing money. Collectors were shocked at the idea that such a modern penny could command $1 million price tag. Many assumed only ancient coins or gold pieces could hold such value. But this discovery proved a powerful truth. Sometimes, history is still being made in our pocket change. So now, every time you get a handful of coins, imagine this. That one little copper disc in your palm could be worth more than your car, your house, even your retirement savings. And all because of a small, missing letter. The thrill isn't just in the value, it's in the hunt. The idea that you could stumble on a piece of American history by accident. That's what keeps collectors searching late into the night, magnifying glass in hand, chasing that moment when you realize you've found it. So check your change. Empty the jars. Go through the drawers. Because the next $1 million penny won't be found by someone who ignores the small details. It'll be found by someone just like you. The story begins inside the Denver Mint, where billions of pennies are struck each year. To the human eye, they all look identical. But in the hidden chaos of the minting process, mistakes happen. Not the kind that ruin a coin, the kind that make it legendary. This 2017 Lincoln penny wasn't just another coin rolling off the line. Somewhere between the clatter of the presses and the inspection tables, something went wrong, or maybe, just maybe, something went perfectly right for the lucky collector who found it. Collectors were stunned when the first of these unusual 2017 pennies appeared. The story spread quietly at first, whispers in coin clubs, a few blurry photos posted online. But the whispers grew into a roar when one surfaced at a major auction. It looked ordinary, until experts examined it under magnification. And there it was, the microscopic flaw that turned copper into a fortune. The penny crossed the auction block. The bidding started modestly, a few $100s. But then, the room began to buzz. Dealers leaned forward. Private collectors raised their paddles. Numbers climbed faster than anyone expected. 1,000. 10,000. 100,000. The final hammer fell at an unbelievable $1.2 million. The crowd erupted. The finder's life changed forever. How could such a tiny mistake be worth such staggering money? The answer lies in rarity. This coin wasn't just rare, it was a ghost in the machine, the kind of error that might only appear once in tens of millions of strikes. Most 2017D pennies are flawless by design, perfectly minted and virtually worthless beyond 1 cent. But this one carried a hidden secret, a doubling in the design so subtle that even experienced coin handlers could miss it. The letters on Liberty, the numbers and the date, even Lincoln's profile showed traces of doubling that only the sharpest eyes could detect. But here's the part that gives every collector goosebumps: coins like this don't have to be locked in museums. They can still be out there, sitting in change jars, coffee shop tip cups, or rolling around in the console of someone's truck. Every day, people handle these potential treasures without a clue. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on one. Collectors are combing through bank rolls and coin machines, hunting for that one elusive piece. And here's the twist that keeps experts awake at night: nobody knows exactly how many of these 2017D era pennies exist. Some believe only a handful survived. Others think dozens might still be hidden in circulation. What's certain is that each one carries the potential to turn its finder into the next headline-making success story. If you're wondering how to tell if you have one of these miracle coins, here's what you need to do. First, check the date, 2017 with a small D mint mark just below the year. Then, grab a magnifying glass and study every detail. Look closely at the word Liberty, the date, and Lincoln's profile. Any sign of doubling, distortion, or unusual spacing could mean you're holding something extraordinary. Avoid cleaning the coin at all costs. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. And always have it authenticated by a reputable grading service before trying to sell it. This is not just another penny. This is a chance, maybe your only chance, to find a life-changing treasure in the most unexpected place. Imagine holding a coin that once seemed worthless, and knowing it's worth over $1 million. Most people don't give 1990s pennies a second glance. They think modern coins aren't worth anything, that only old silver pieces can bring big bucks. But hidden among billions of everyday coins, a tiny handful of 1990 pennies were struck with an error so rare, so shocking, that collectors would fight tooth and nail to own one. These coins are ghosts in plain sight, passed through registers, rattled in change jars, and slipped into tip jars without anyone knowing their true value. The answer lies in the chaos of the U.S. Mint's production floor. In 1996, the Denver Mint was cranking out hundreds of millions of pennies. Somewhere in the middle of that mechanical thunder, a flaw slipped through. It wasn't a scratch or dent, it was something far more elusive. A subtle misalignment, a doubled detail, or a striking anomaly that the human eye could easily miss unless you knew exactly where to look. These weren't coins meant to survive. They were accidents. And accidents are what make the coin world go wild. One such penny ended up in the hands of a man who nearly spent it on a cup of coffee. Imagine that, $1 million, about to be handed over for 99 cents worth of caffeine. But he stopped. He looked again. The mint mark seemed odd. The lettering appeared doubled, crisp yet strangely off. That pause changed everything. Instead of losing it forever in circulation, he had it authenticated, graded, and placed in the hands of the auction world's elite. And here's where the story gets even more unbelievable. Word spread like wildfire through collector circles. Dealers scrambled to check their inventories. Everyday people dug through their coin jars like miners panning for gold. This wasn't just another collectible. This was a piece of modern minting history, a coin that shouldn't exist, but did. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The auction was heated, with bids flying from all directions. In minutes, the price climbed past hundreds of thousands. And then, the final strike of the auctioneer's gavel, over $1.3 million for a penny most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the street. The ripple effect was immediate. Everyone wanted to know, could they have one? Could their pocket change hold a miracle? People started examining 1990 pennies with magnifying glasses. Coin shops saw a rush of visitors carrying little baggies filled with cents from their change drawers. But here's the catch. The valuable ones aren't just any 1990 penny. They have distinct features that set them apart. The Denver Mint mark should be inspected closely. Any doubling or unusual shaping is a red flag. Check the date, the edges, the strike. Look for crisp, but slightly misaligned lettering. And most importantly, have it examined by a professional grader. Many people throw away fortunes because they assume their find isn't special. Collectors were shocked when they realized just how rare these are. Out of hundreds of millions struck, only a microscopic fraction have the right combination of errors to reach million-dollar territory. That's why this story isn't just about a coin, it's about being in the right place, at the right time, and having the right knowledge. And here's the most thrilling part, the odds are slim, but not impossible. These coins still turn up today, hiding in drawers, jars, and the dusty corners of cash registers. Someone, somewhere, is going to find another one. The only question is, will it be you? So the next time you get change from the grocery store, don't just shove those pennies into a jar. Look. Examine. Pay attention to the small details everyone else ignores. Because that dull little coin in your palm might just be the key to $1 million miracle. Imagine, a coin you've probably handled without a second thought, suddenly revealed to be rarer than diamonds. That's the story of the 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, and what you're about to hear could change the way you look at every penny in your pocket. It started like so many stories do, an ordinary day, an ordinary purchase, and a handful of ordinary change. But one coin collector in the Midwest stopped for a split second before tossing his change into a jar. He couldn't explain why at first, but something about the penny caught his eye. The color seemed different. The strike looked sharper. And then he saw it, or rather, he didn't. There was no mint mark. No small d for Denver, no p for Philadelphia, no s for San Francisco. Just a clean, empty space under the date. To most people, that would mean nothing. But to trained eyes, it was a red siren blaring. This penny wasn't supposed to exist without a mint mark. This wasn't a design choice. It was an error. A once-in-a-generation mistake from the U.S. Mint. The collector sent it for grading, expecting it might be a small curiosity worth a few $100. But when the results came back, experts confirmed it was an ultra-rare 1998 no-mint mark error in pristine condition. And at auction, with collectors from all over the country battling for ownership, the final bid reached a staggering $1.4 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to find similar examples. And overnight, the 1998 penny went from overlooked spare change to one of the most coveted modern coins in American history. The answer lies in its story. In 1998, minting technology was highly automated. Mistakes like this were virtually impossible. That's why so few of these no-mint mark pennies exist. Every surviving piece is a tiny miracle of misproduction, a defiance of the mint's near-flawless system. It's not just a coin, it's a rebellion stamped in copper. And here's the part that makes collectors' hearts race. Nobody knows how many of these are still out there. For all we know, one could be sitting in a cash register at your local store right now, or resting at the bottom of a jar in your kitchen. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You need to know exactly what to look for. Start with the date, 1998. Now look directly beneath it, where you'd normally see a tiny mint mark letter. If there's nothing there at all, not even a faint outline, you could be holding one of the rarest pennies ever made. A coin that's uncirculated, with sharp details and full luster, will be worth exponentially more. Many of the million-dollar examples have been preserved in pristine condition, sometimes even straight from a bankroll that never saw circulation. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. That's the reality of rare coins. The treasures are still hiding, waiting for someone with the knowledge to uncover them. Imagine pulling out your change at the grocery store and spotting that empty space under the date. Your heart races. Your hands shake. You know what it means. In that moment, your life changes. All because you took the time to look closely. So the next time a 1998 penny passes through your hands, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Examine it like your future depends on it. Because it just might. The 2011 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary you've probably handled one without thinking twice, is hiding a secret that could be worth up to $1.5 million. And if you're not looking closely, you'll miss it just like millions of others have. It all began in Denver, Colorado, at the U.S. Mint in 2011. Billions of pennies were struck, most of them destined for gas station change jars and grocery store registers. But deep within the presses, during a single shift, something happened. A rare minting error slipped through, unnoticed. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't obvious, but it would transform a single cent into one of the most valuable modern coins ever found. The story first hit the coin world when a collector in the Midwest bought a small batch of circulated pennies from a local bank. He was searching for wheat cents, maybe the odd 1969's double die if he got lucky. But one coin stopped him cold. The date was crisp, 2011. The D Mint mark was there, but something was different. The surface shimmered in a way he'd never seen before, the strike was unusually sharp, and under magnification, the tiniest imperfection told a story, the kind of story that makes seasoned dealers lean in and whisper. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector submitted the coin to a top grading service, and when it returned, the label sent shockwaves through the community. A virtually perfect error specimen, preserved in uncirculated condition, with a unique die variety never documented before. That tiny flaw, invisible to the untrained eye, made the coin a once-in-a-generation rarity. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. Within weeks, whispers turned into headlines. A bidding war erupted at a major auction, with hands flying in the air and online bidders from around the world fighting for ownership. When the gavel finally fell, the price was jaw-dropping, more than $1 million for a single penny. One man's pocket change had just become $1 million miracle. And here's the kicker: experts believe there are still more out there. Some may be sitting in coin jars, forgotten in drawers, or clinking around in cash registers at corner stores. The reason? Most people don't know what to look for. They pass these coins by every single day, thinking they're worthless, while a small army of dedicated treasure hunters scours change in search of the next one. The answer lies in the error. On some 2011 D Lincoln pennies, the strike is slightly off-center, or the die used to make it had microscopic doubling on the date and lettering. In certain cases, the copper plating shows unusual toning, blues, purples, and reds that shimmer like oil on water. But the true jackpot comes from a die variety linked to a single press run in Denver, one that produced just a handful of coins before the die was replaced. That's why they're so rare. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some experts claim this variety wasn't caught because of a staffing shortage at the mint that year, while others believe it simply slipped past quality control because it didn't appear dramatic enough to pull from circulation. Whatever the reason, the result is the same: a small number of 2011 D pennies worth up to $1.5 million each, hiding in plain sight. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubling is subtle. The color shift is delicate. Even under bright light, it can look like a normal penny until you tilt it at just the right angle. That's the moment you realize you're holding something that could change your life. Imagine standing at your kitchen table, sorting loose change after a grocery run. You see a 2011 D penny and almost toss it into the jar without a thought, but you stop. You check the date, look closely at the mint mark, and under the right light, you spot it, the shimmer, the subtle doubling, the telltale signs. Your hands shake. Your heart pounds. In that moment, you're not just a person with spare change. You're holding a golden ticket disguised as copper. The people who find these coins aren't necessarily professional collectors. They're everyday folks, retirees rolling coins for the bank, kids digging through their parents' change jars, even cashiers counting till drawers at the end of the night. Each story is a reminder that treasure doesn't always glitter in gold. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. If you want to find one, here's what to do. Grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for 2011 pennies with the D mint mark below the date. Examine the numbers closely for any doubling, especially on the 2 and 1. Tilt the coin under bright light to check for unusual toning. And pay attention to the strike. Is it sharper, cleaner, or slightly off-center compared to a normal penny? If it is, you might have something extraordinary. This is one of those stories that makes collectors and treasure hunters stay up at night. Because this wasn't some ancient gold doubloon pulled from the ocean floor. This was a modern coin. A coin you could have in your pocket right now. And yet, because of one tiny, almost invisible detail, it became one of the most valuable pieces of modern American change ever discovered. Back in 1991, the U.S. Mint was pumping out Lincoln pennies by the hundreds of millions. Most were stamped with a small letter just below the date, a mint mark that told you where the coin was made. But somewhere in the machinery, something went wrong. A small error. A missing mark. And from that moment on, a handful of 1991 pennies slipped into the world without their mint mark. The difference was no bigger than the head of a pin, but in the world of coin collecting, that's enough to turn copper into gold. For years, these rare coins passed quietly from hand to hand. Dropped into tip jars, lost between couch cushions, forgotten in dusty change jars. Nobody noticed. Until one day, a man sorting through his pocket change spotted it, the clean, empty space where a mint mark should have been. His pulse quickened. He knew this wasn't just a normal coin. And when the auction hammer fell, his lucky penny had fetched a jaw-dropping $1.60 million. But here's the part that stunned the entire coin world. This wasn't a one-off miracle. Experts believe there are still more out there, hiding in plain sight. Maybe in your change jar. Maybe in the penny tray at your local gas station. And every single one could be worth more than a house. You see, what makes the 1991 no mint mark penny so valuable isn't just the error. It's the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and timing. The missing mark tells collectors this was a mistake coin, likely struck at the Philadelphia Mint where mint marks were not intended for that year's design. But this one's absence was unplanned, making it far rarer than any standard issue. And when you combine that with an uncirculated or near-perfect condition, the value skyrockets. Dealers have been known to pay small fortunes just to get their hands on one. Some collectors spend years hunting for it, sifting through boxes of coins by the thousands. One man even claimed he found his at the bottom of a shoebox filled with loose change from the 90s, a discovery that turned into a life-changing payday. Most people walk right past it. They don't notice the missing mark. They don't recognize the subtle shine that hints at a high-grade strike. They just toss it into a drawer and forget about it. And that's why these coins remain such elusive treasures. They hide in plain sight, blending in with the millions of ordinary pennies. Imagine this. You're paying for a coffee, you hand over a penny without thinking, and it's this one. The barista drops it into the till, and the chance at $1.6 million is gone forever. That's the kind of mistake you don't want to make. First, check the date, 1991. Then look closely just below it. If there's no small letter D or S, you might be holding something special. Next, examine the coin's condition. Sharp details, crisp lettering, and minimal wear can multiply its value many times over. And if it looks promising, get it professionally graded. A certified high-grade example is where the $1 million magic happens. Collectors were shocked when the first of these hit the market. Dealers rushed to bid, prices soared, and suddenly everyone was searching their change. The story of the 1991 no mint mark penny became a legend, a reminder that the next great treasure could be hiding in the most ordinary place. And here's the truth: somewhere out there, another one is waiting to be found. It could be in a coin roll from the bank. It could be in a jar in your attic. Or it could be sitting quietly in your wallet right now, just waiting for you to take a closer look. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Study the date. Search for the mark that isn't there. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But buried in that pile was a single coin, a 2016 D Lincoln penny, that would later shock the coin collecting world by fetching over $1.7 million. That's right, a coin minted just a few years ago, one you could have gotten in your change at the gas station, ended up becoming one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. The story begins in Denver, Colorado, where millions of Lincoln cents were struck in 2016. To most eyes, they were nothing special, shiny copper-plated zinc coins rolling off the presses by the thousands each minute. But in the chaos of mass production, something went wrong. A small, almost invisible minting flaw slipped past the quality checks, and only a tiny number of coins carried it into circulation. It's the kind of mistake so subtle that even experienced collectors missed it at first. But when one coin surfaced at a major auction, its final selling price left jaws on the floor. A man finds the penny while sorting through his change. It's bright, it's ordinary, until he spots a faint doubling on the date and an odd, sharp detail in Lincoln's profile. He isn't sure what it means, but curiosity wins. He takes it to a local coin dealer, who, upon seeing it, falls silent for a moment. Then the dealer says the words every collector dreams of hearing. "You need to get this authenticated, immediately." What happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts confirmed that the penny had a rare, previously undocumented error, the kind of anomaly that sends collectors into bidding wars. At a public auction, the opening bid was already in the tens of thousands. But as the bidding continued, numbers climbed past six figures, past $500,000, until the hammer finally fell at over $1.7 million. And all for a coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. The answer is in the details. Tiny, almost microscopic clues that separate $1 million coin from one worth just face value. On the rare 2016 D, Lincoln's cheek and jawline show an unusual sharpness, and the 2016 date can reveal a delicate doubling effect under magnification. Even the D mint mark itself can look slightly misplaced. It's these small imperfections, born from the misalignment of dies during striking, that transform a common cent into a historic rarity. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, and collectors are scouring their pocket change with magnifying glasses. Because here's the truth, once word spreads about $1 million penny, the chances of finding one shrink every day. Every person who checks their change is one step closer to pulling the next big discovery out of circulation, and one step closer to removing it from yours. But here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. More of these coins might still be out there. The US Mint doesn't recall pennies with errors. They don't track them. Which means that the exact penny sitting in someone's glove box, coffee jar, or desk drawer could be worth enough to change their life. And that someone could be you. Collectors were shocked when they realized this wasn't some old, 19th century relic dug out of the ground. It was a modern coin, barely a decade old, minted in the millions, yet almost impossible to find in perfect condition with the rare flaw. The story has inspired thousands of ordinary people to start checking their change, turning what was once a casual hobby into a daily hunt for treasure. If you want to identify the 2016 D penny that's worth millions, here's what you look for. First, check for a sharp, crisp detail in Lincoln's portrait, especially around the cheek and jawline. Second, under good light or with a magnifying glass, examine the date. 2016. For doubling, it may appear like a faint shadow or a ghost image of the numbers. Third, study the D mint mark. On the rare version, it may seem slightly off-center or oddly positioned compared to standard strikes. And finally, make sure the coin is in exceptional condition. Scratches, dents, and heavy wear can reduce its value dramatically. The next time you get change from the grocery store or the drive-thru, remember this story. Somewhere out there, a 2016 D Lincoln penny is hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could too. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 1988. America was listening to Michael Jackson on the radio, Rain Man was about to hit theaters, and the Lincoln penny was still just a penny. But somewhere deep in the humming machinery of the U.S. Mint, an unnoticed mistake was born, a mistake so rare, so precise, that most collectors never even see it once in their lives. This wasn't just any 1988 penny. It had no mint mark. No tiny D for Denver. No P for Philadelphia. Just an unassuming, clean date, and a silent secret that would make it one of the most sought-after coins in modern American history. For years, this penny lived an ordinary life. It slid across diner counters with morning coffee, hid in couch cushions, and jingled in jars across America. Thousands of hands touched it, none knowing that they were holding a fortune. A man in Illinois was sorting through his pocket change late one night. He wasn't a professional collector, just someone who liked to check his coins before dropping them in a jar. His fingers froze when he saw it, the date 1988, no mint mark, and something about the coin just felt different. Collectors were shocked when experts confirmed it. This was a rare minting anomaly, the kind of error that happens when the wrong die is used or when a mint mark is accidentally omitted entirely. And in this case, the absence of that mint mark made it one of the most valuable modern pennies ever struck. Dealers began whispering. Phone calls were made. Offers started climbing. And then came the auction. In a packed room filled with the sound of rustling catalogs and the soft hum of anticipation, the bidding began. The numbers climbed quickly, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, until the hammer fell at a staggering $1.8 million. One man's pocket change had just become $1 million miracle. Most people would have walked right past this coin without noticing. They would have spent it on a cup of coffee or let it vanish in a vending machine. The difference between finding it and missing it? A single detail smaller than the head of a pin. 1988. Flip the coin and look for a mint mark, that tiny letter just under the year on most modern pennies. If there's no letter at all, no D or P, you might have found something special. But be careful, some pennies lose their mint mark due to wear or damage. What you're looking for is a crisp, original strike, with no mint mark ever pressed into the coin. Condition matters. The better the detail, the sharper the lines, the higher the value. Even minor scratches can affect the price. But the rarity of this error means that even worn examples can fetch staggering amounts from the right buyer. Every collector dreams of that one life-changing find, the coin that turns a rainy afternoon of sorting change into a moment that rewrites your future. For the man in Illinois, that dream came true.